Well, a very, very happy Wednesday morning. Welcome to the John Kentera Show on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope everyone having a great week. Padres having a great week so far, taking the first two games from the New York Mets. Monday night, what a ball game Monday night. That was like a Halloween game. There were so many weird plays in that game. And of course, Fernando made that incredible catch off of Mark Vientos out there in right field, robbed him of a home run, had another great defensive play. Padres ended up winning that ball game in the bottom half of the ninth inning, 7-6. They out hit the Mets that night, 14-6. And we're going to get into last night's game. We're going to tell you about this afternoon's game out at Petco Park. But tomorrow at 3 o'clock, the Major League Baseball trading deadline. And if you look at ESPN.com this morning, our man Dylan Cease is on the cover of the baseball section. It really sounds like Dylan Cease is going to get traded. And we'll get into that shortly, but I want to remind everyone, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We very much appreciate that. Over the last couple of weeks, we've gotten a lot of supers. I want to thank all of you for sending that in. That's very, very kind of you. We very much appreciate that. Jonathan Oliveri and myself very much appreciate any support that we get for the channel, but please subscribe, please like, and please send in your comments, whether you get in during the live show on Coach's Crew or Coach's Mailbag, because we go back and we take a look at a bunch of them, and we pull off about three from the prior show and read at the end of the program. But again, please subscribe. We're trying to build the viewership and continue to do great things, talking about San Diego, Southern California, and other things going on around the world in the sports world. But Monday night, 3 hour and 21-minute game, 43,596. Padres trail 5-1 after the top of the fifth. They chased Mets starter Frankie Montas. Montas, had an ERA on the road of 7 coming in. And he was doing a pretty good job through the first 4 innings. And then he gets the 5-1 lead, and all of a sudden the guy forgot how to pitch. I mean, he couldn't do squat against the Padres. And the Padres came back and they pushed 5 runs across in the bottom of the fifth, take a 6-5 lead. Ronnie Mauricio, that young third baseman, hits a homer off of Robert Suarez in the ninth. And then the Padres get the game-winning hit by the catcher Elias Diaz, who finally, after last night's game, is over the 200 mark again, hitting 202, and drove in a couple of runs on Tuesday night as well. But a great win on Monday night after a so-so road trip, going 5-5 and having to win the final 2 games on Saturday and Sunday in St. Louis to finish 500 on the road. With the win, the Padres last night are now still 4 games back of the Dodgers, who've taken the first 2 games against Cincinnati. But that's okay, because now what the Dodgers are doing against Cincinnati, because they're right behind the Padres in the wild card, and we'll take a look at the standings a little bit later in the program. Padres have a 3-game lead in the wild card for that number 3 spot. So, hey, I'm rooting for the Dodgers right now. Okay, anybody the Dodgers are playing, they're in the wild card race for the Padres. I'm rooting for the Dodgers. I'll be very honest with you on that. I just want to get into the tournament. I don't have this grand illusion that we're going to go on this 11-game winning streak and pass the Dodgers right now. I hope the Dodgers win tonight. They play tonight. Ohtani starting tonight. And I hope the Padres win. And that'd push Cincinnati down to 4 games back. And I like that. That's the way I'm looking at it right now. But a great win Monday night, an exciting win. Padres, how about this? They were 7 of 15 with runners in scoring position on Monday night. Outstanding effort. And you go up and down. Dylan Cease didn't have a great start, and we're going to talk a lot about Dylan today on the program. I give him a lot of credit when he took that ground ball. It was a line drive ground ball that skipped off the ground and hit him on the side of the head. I think everybody wanted him to come out of the game, but he hung in there. When I give a guy a lot of credit, the guy wants to pitch. I think Dylan Cease is a great guy, first of all. And I'm going to tell you more about my thoughts on him a little bit later on the program. But his numbers the other night, 4 2/3, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 5 walks. And I'm going to get to the walks a little bit later as well. 9 strikeouts, and then he served up that grand slam to Mark Vientos. And then it was a bullpen. Morgan pitch, Morhone, Estrada, Adams, Suarez. All those guys did a heck of a job. I mean, Suarez, yeah, he blew the save, but he also picked up a win the other night and goes to 3-4 and his ERA at 3.50. So a great win, an exciting win. But again, look at the crowd. 43,596. Amazing. And then last night, the Padres come out and they're led 2-1 after 6 innings. Then they explode for another 5 runs in the seventh. The big blow, Manny unloaded a 3-run tater. Diaz a 1-for-3 night, a double, 2 RBIs. Jackson Merrill starting to swing a little bit better, 2-for-4, a triple, couple of RBIs. Padres used 6 pitchers Tuesday night. Ryan Bergert, 4 innings plus 3 batters, and Mike Schild hooked him. When he had a base hit and 2 walks, 2 hits, he ended up giving up 1 earned run, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. Then Estrada, Peralta, Morejon, Ron Marinaccio, a guy that could maybe go throw in the trade. He looked pretty good. 1 inning, 1 hit, and a strikeout. Yuki Matsui came in after Marinaccio gave up a hit in the ninth, and Yuki Matsui came in, had a strikeout, and rolled a ground ball double play. So a great win. Padres now 59-49. Again, 4 games back of LA, a 3-game lead over Cincinnati for the third and final wild card spot. But last night, and I know they had a giveaway last night. The what was it? The sandless beach towel, 45,088. 45,088. You know, somebody was telling me the other day the Boston series. I don't hang out in Gallagher Square. Remember when Gallagher Square, when the Padres opened Petco Park in 2004, and the big deal was, you know what? We want to get young families to come out and watch our product and sit on the grass, let the kids run around, play on the wiffle ball field, and do all that good stuff. And they've done some incredible stuff at Gallagher Square. I mean, that is the place to be before a Padres game. If you're going to come to the ballpark, get in there, let your kids run around. I mean, even if don't have kids, I can tell you, just walk around. The excitement, the enthusiasm, it's really special. Check out the Tony Gwynn statue. Check out, all the stuff there. It's fantastic. But I was talking to somebody the other day, and they told me, like, when Boston comes in, and I don't know what the tickets are regularly for Gallagher Square, but once upon a time they were like, what, $7 to $11, something like that. They're like $60 now. So they're bringing in a lot of money at Petco Park. I mean, last night was the 45th sellout in 51 games at Petco Park. They're bringing in a ton of money, and I realize they've got high-priced ball players, but they're selling out almost every night. And if you take what they're asking for ticket prices, let alone, I mean, I would jam in as many possible people at Gallagher Square at 50 or $60. Are you kidding me? That's unbelievable. Think about that. How many thousands per game are in Gallagher Square paying that kind of money? That's amazing to me. And you're watching it on the big screen. It's a great big screen. Hey, everything the Padres have done out there is first class. I will tell you that. I have no complaints. And we got as good a ballpark as there is in America. I don't care what ratings say. Normally the Petco comes out #1, and every once in a while they'll be #2 or #3, whatever. But you can't find more excitement in any ballpark in America right now than at Petco Park. But I'm amazed that young families that bring their kids can afford that kind of money. I mean, that's a lot of money. And the Padres ownership right now, I think they're on the clock personally. They're on the clock right now because you know what? We can talk about all the deficiencies of this baseball team, and they have a lot. They don't have much of a bench. The catching situation, we can yell and scream and kick our feet and pound our fist. Not great. Yeah, they do a great job behind the plate. I have no problem with them defensively. And they work great with the pitching staff, and Ruben Niebla and Schilt loves them. But we need to upgrade that, and I don't think we're going to. I really don't know what the Padres are going to do. I think if they do make a trade, they're going to try to get rid of money rather than take on any money. And we'll get to that shortly. But the Padres now 10 games over 500 at 59-49. And what I wanted to say is with all the money that is coming in through the tickets, through the parking, through the concession, through the merchandise, all that stuff. They're bringing in a lot of money. Okay. And this is going to be the very, very first time I think that this ownership group. Now, last year at this time, Eric Hatsenda had taken over for Peter Seidler, and he was the interim chairman. But now John Seidler is chief cook and bottle washer. And this is his opportunity, along with the rest of the organization that controls the dollars, to make a statement. Are they going to go for it? Or are we going to pull back? Or are we going to stay status quo? This is not about AJ Preller right now, I don't think. I don't think this is about AJ at all. I think this is about the ownership. Are they willing to take on payroll? Now, Dylan Cease is making $14 million this year. Now, if they trade Dylan Cease and they get somebody else for $5 million, and that's the only move they make, then that tells me they didn't want to spend money. I mean, are they going to get rid of a guy like Dylan Cease for $14 million and then go out and try to make a couple of other moves and maybe take on 5 or 6 or maybe even 10 million to make a run at it? Or are we just going to kind of go about our business? The ball club itself has done their job. And 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't have said that. I would not have said that. I wouldn't even have said that over the weekend after they lost the first 2 games in St. Louis. But then they rallied back. They won Saturday, Sunday. Now they've won 4 in a row, and they're 10 games over 500. If you're 10 games over 500, man, you're a player. Now, I don't know if they're better than the Phillies. I don't know if they're better than the Mets, quite frankly, even though they've taken the first 2 games here against the Mets. The Mets have thrown kind of their backup guys the first couple of games. All right. Frankie Montas, the 5th starter. Sean Manaea missed most of the year. Maybe come playoff time, Sean Manaea will be a lot better. He wasn't great last night. And if they put their 3 up against our 3, the Mets got a good ball club. And by the way, you fans, congratulations. You guys got all over Soto, and he ended up hitting a ball off his back foot last night and stayed in the game and had to come out. I don't know if he's going to play today or not. He likes to play, so I would imagine, unless he's pretty sore, he'll play today. But, man, you guys got on him pretty good. Got on him pretty good. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm not into, booing players, but I thought it was pretty good. But getting back to the Padre Ball Club, they've done their job. They're 10 games over 500 right now. Now it comes to where the ownership and front office have to get them some help. They've earned the help. If they were floundering around at the 500 mark, kind of like Arizona's at, Arizona's 4 games under? If I'm Arizona, I'm selling Suarez, I'm selling Gallen, Merrill Kelly, anybody that isn't under contract for next year. I'm probably moving right now. I got to regroup. And Diamondbacks having a very difficult year. But we'll get more into that. But very excited about what I've watched the last couple of nights of Padre baseball. That game Monday night was just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Okay, trading deadline. And for the most part, it's been kind of quiet. It's been kind of quiet. I would imagine today and definitely tomorrow leading up to 3 o'clock, it's going to get crazy because there are going to be some guys going. Everybody right now is still trying to gauge, are they buyers or sellers? And I think by this time, you know what you're going to be. Now, you may be trying to give it the old Heisman of not wanting to be a seller because you don't want to look like you're non-competitive and you're waving the white flag. But the Padres have got an interesting situation here. I don't think they're better than the Dodgers. I don't think they're better than Philadelphia. Again, I'm not sure they're better than the Mets. I'm not sure they're better than the Cubs or the Brewers. Okay, so I don't want to give up any prospects. If I'm giving up anybody, I'm giving up guys on my major league roster, but I got to get something in return. And let's talk about Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease, like I mentioned, you go to ESPN.com right now, click on MLB, and Dylan Cease is the poster boy for the trading deadline. Now, first of all, personally, I like Dylan Cease. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great teammate, good-hearted guy. Pitched pretty good last year. Hasn't pitched well this year. You look at his numbers, 3-10 in a 4.79, a 1.34 whip, 118 in the third innings. He's given up 111 hits. That's way too many for a guy of his ability. He's given up 67 runs, 63 of them earned. He's walked 47, too many. 153 punch-outs in 22 starts. Houston is really clamoring to get Dylan Cease. I think the Yankees are trying to find a way to get Dylan Cease. Boston, maybe the New York Mets, but it sounds like Houston's hot to trot right now. And Houston's got a good farm system. They've got good players at the major league level. They would even be deeper if Yordan Alvarez could ever play, one of the best hitters in baseball. And that would maybe free up another young outfielder if he was able to play, but he's out. I don't know if he's even coming back. But Dylan Cease, more than likely, Monday night pitched his last game for the San Diego Padres. I would be surprised if he's here after the trading deadline, because at the end of the year, he's a free agent, and you can make him a qualifying offer, but he's going to decline that and go out on the free agent market, and you'll get, a fourth-round draft pick or some kind of a compensation pick. But here's my take on Dylan Cease. And I don't know why it didn't work out here in San Diego, because his overall numbers are not great. I know he threw the no-hitter, and he was incredible that day. And there were some really nice defensive plays made, but there are in every no-hitter. I'm pulling for this guy because I think he's a good guy. I pull for the good guys in this game. And I don't know why it didn't work with him and Ruben Niebla or him and Mike Schild or just the Padre organization. And I know he had his up and downs with the White Sox. He had that one really good year, and he came back and had a 4.5 ERA. This guy has, I think, as good a stuff as anybody around. And he may die with that stuff. But if he would trust his stuff a little bit more and not try to strike everybody out, quit trying to miss bats, just pitch, change your philosophy a little bit. And, add and subtract. Everything's hard, hard, hard. And when he gets in trouble, he tries to throw harder, harder, and harder. And it doesn't work that way. You lose command, your ball stays up in the zone, it flattens out, 38 different things happen. But this guy could go somewhere else, and he could really be a shot in the arm for another ball club. There's no question about it. But I don't know if he can get back on track with San Diego. He may need a new lease on life, need to be in somebody else's clubhouse. And if that's the case, more power to him. I got no qualms about Dylan Cease wanting to be here in San Diego. I think he loves San Diego. It just hadn't quite worked out. But the guy is going healthy. He wants to pitch. And who knows, he may turn it around. He may be the star of the postseason for another team. But hopefully the Padres are able to get an outfielder or a bat if they do move him. Now, I want to talk about Robert Suarez. His name has been kicked around quite a bit. And I feel like, to a degree, I have to defend Robert Suarez. I don't know Robert Suarez from, the man on the moon. But I've always liked him. From the first day that I saw him pitch in spring training to the first night he broke into the big leagues, he was a disaster. Remember over in Arizona? He walked a couple of guys. He threw a wild pitch, and they got him out of the ball game. And I think Craig Stammen, if I'm not mistaken, came in and gave up maybe a grand slam home run on opening night. I think it was Craig. Another class act, by the way, working for the organization. But I've always liked Robert Suarez, and I look at his career right now. Fourth season with the Padres. To this point, he has pitched in 182 games. He's 21-11 with a 3.03 ERA. And 67 career saves. 184 innings pitched, 128 hits. This season, he's having a great year. I know his ERA is a little bit high for a closer. But hey, in 46 games, 43 2/3, 32 hits, 18 runs, 17 of them earned, only 12 walks, 46 strikeouts, and giving up 2 home runs. I'm a big Robert Suarez fan. Now, the reason they would move him, for a couple of reasons. Number one, they could get something in return for him, probably a pretty good return, and you may even want to attach Cronenworth to that. I think they'd love to get rid of Cronenworth's contract. I really do. And by the way, Jake played a heck of a ball game on Tuesday night. But for me, his price tag is just too much. After this year, the Padres, up until 2030, will owe him $60 million. Average player. Okay, I've talked about that. But if you could attach him to one of these trades, you get that off the books. Okay, so we could do something during the winter. I mean, if you had an extra 60 million out there, man, that would be kind of cool. But anyways, Suarez has been a two-time All-Star, uh, but he's got a player option for each of the next 2 years at only $8 million, and there's no buyout. So, and he would have to. It's a player option. He would have to decide right after the World Series if he wants to come back for each of the next 2 years, because it's simultaneously, you got to decide on 26 and 27. And normally, if he took that, he wouldn't be a walkaway free agent until after the 2028 season. Well, he's going to decline that, and he will become a free agent, and he'll go out to the highest bidder. So if you're worried about that, then you go ahead and trade him. And then Jeremiah Estrada becomes a closer. I think he's better than probably Jason Adam or Adrian Morejon. He could possibly do it. And with the emergence of David Morgan, Morgan could fill in that seventh inning spot a little bit. Morgan's pitched really well. And the Padres have enough. If they gave up Robert and could get something significantly for him, then that would be okay. But he's been a good Padre. He's been a good Padre. And think about this. This guy had pitched in Mexico and pitched in Japan. He'd never been with an affiliated organization in the States until A.J. Preller and his scouts got him out of Japan. And he's 34 years old. That's an amazing get by A.J. and his staff. Tell you what, man, I hope A.J. has some flexibility. I'm not sure he does right now. Not sure he does. Okay, I got to talk about this other guy. And, I'm a big believer that the glass is always half full rather than half empty or teetering on the edge of the table. But when it comes down to player evaluation, I got to be tough. I got to be tough. Now, there's this guy that everybody talks about, a guy named Luis Robert Jr. with the Chicago White Sox. Now, if you go back to 2023, this guy was one of the best players in baseball. He played in 145 games. That's a career high. He hit 264. Doesn't sound great, but his power numbers were off the chart. 36 doubles, a triple, 38 homers, 80 RBIs. And oh, by the way, he stole 20 out of 24 bases that year. He also struck out 172 times, but he had an OPS plus that I'm a big fan of 130. And that's Luis Robert Jr. His contract, I think he's making, I think he's making 15 this year. And then he's got a club option each of the next 2 years for 20 million. Right now, he's got an OPS plus of this year of 80. Now, average major league player, OPS plus is 100. So he's 20% less than the average major league player this year. Okay, this year, and he's in and out of the lineup with injury. Always got an injury. Plays center field. He's fragile. Kind of like Mike Trout, to be honest with you. And a couple of years ago, they kind of compared him to Mike Trout. Now, he's going to turn 28 on August 3rd. But listen to these numbers. In 87 games this year, he struck out 98 times. He's hitting 206. Got a 295 on base percentage. He never walks. 11 homers, 43 RBIs, a 643 OPS, and again, an OPS plus of 80. And they're talking about maybe he'll go to the Padres. Well, two things. What are you going to give up to get Luis Robert Jr.? You're trying to catch lightning in a bottle here if you go after him. Now, this guy, there's no doubt this guy is one of the most talented athletes in baseball. But he hasn't done it other really than the 2023 season. You go back to last year, he hit 224, 19 doubles, 14 homers, 35 RBIs, played in 100 games. .278 on base percentage. He had 28 walks and 425 plate appearances. So if he's not hitting, he's not helping you. And he's had all kinds of injuries. Now, if the White Sox want to give him away for, maybe a couple of double-A arms, or maybe an infielder that's a non-prospect for the Padres and a bullpen arm from the minor leagues, I would do that. But I'm also going to decline the club options each of the next 2 years. I'm going to let him walk as a free agent. I'm not picking up $20 million a year. I mean, I don't think ownership would do that. Now, if you dump Cronenworth and save $60 million over the next 5 years, then maybe AJ could talk ownership into saying, hey, you know what? This guy's got a lot of ability, which he does. And we know that AJ already fleeced the White Sox one time. That was under a different administration, getting Tatis. Even though at that time, Eric Johnson, the pitcher that came over, was supposed to be the cat's meow. That didn't work out very well, but we got Fernando out of that deal for James Shields. So Luis Robert, he's what I call a scout killer. He can run, he can throw, he can hit with power. He's a good hitter when he's right. But at the end of the day, he'd be one of these guys. If you took him to a perfect game workout, this guy would be the best guy there. 10 out of 10. Every time he'd go, he'd be the best guy. But at the end of the day, he doesn't get it done. Hey, your best ability is your availability. Padres need somebody that's going to come in here and grind it out, and I'm not sure Luis Robert Jr. is a grinder. Now, you could also say he's been with the White Sox, and they're awful, they stink, they suck, which they do. Even though they're better this year, Will Venable's actually done a halfway decent job with that ball club. They're just so bare down in the minor leagues, they get no help. But we'll wait and see. Tell you another guy I kind of like, and they haven't talked about him. He's not having a great year. Left-hand hitter Cedric Mullins. I kind of like him. He can play all three outfield spots, primarily center, and he'll play left. You could throw him in right, but he runs a little bit, early 30s. I've always kind of liked him. Not having a good year with Baltimore. Baltimore's not having a good year. But anyways, that's my take on that. And boy, between now and 3 o'clock on Thursday, if you're a baseball fan, this is a fun time of year. There's no doubt about that. Okay, we got to get out to questions now. Let's get to these live questions and see what we got today. And I would imagine you fans got to be pretty fired up. 10 games over 500, taking down the Mets the first 2 games. They got Darvish going today against right-hander Clay Holmes. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Darvish doesn't get it done today, if he gets knocked out of the box, Padres got to make a decision. I think you put him on the IL, you let him keep working. Padres right now, I think, have enough. Now, if they trade Cease, that could be a problem. But it sounds like Michael King, who threw a simulated game on Monday, threw 40 pitches, is going to go out and throw in a rehab start, from what we hear. And things we know change. But it sounds like on Saturday or Sunday, Mike's going to join El Paso and throw a few innings for El Paso. So he could be right around the corner. You never know. If you trade Cease, maybe the Padres are going to get something in return. But Ryan Berger's been huge. Randy Vasquez has been huge. Kyle Hart, you're getting work out of him. Pitch him at home. Pitch him at home. His numbers are like amazing. His numbers at Petco Park are like the best in baseball. But on the road, he struggled. But you know what? He threw a couple of shutout innings coming out of the bullpen before he got shipped back to El Paso. But with you, Darvish, you got to get the job done. How many more times can you run him out there? Today's the big one. He's going against a quality right-hander, the former New York Yankee, Clay Holmes. Holmes is good, man. He's 9-5 right now with a 3.40. Darvish 0-3 and 4 starts in a 9.18. Okay, let's get to the live questions. I'm fired up today, as you can see. One, Berger has been great for us. Last night was his worst game. We all know the defense would have helped him out some. King is almost back, and I'm okay losing Cease. You never know what you'll get. That's exactly right. You may have to give up a little bit on the pitching end to get more on the offensive end. We need more offense. We need more offense. And I don't know if you've paid attention, but Luis arrives slowly working his way to the 300 mark. I think I didn't write his numbers. I think he's hitting 293. He's slowly inching that batting average up. You know what? Right now, Will Smith of the Dodgers tearing it up, hitting about 320. Had the game-winning hit last night in the top half of the ninth. Then he ripped one off the top of the wall. James Outman scored from first base. Dodgers hung on by a thread last night against the Reds. But right now, Will Smith leading the National League in hitting. And that's a pretty good effort. But I think everybody's probably okay with losing Dylan Cease because you really haven't got much out of him as far as wins and losses, 3-10. Berger's done a good job. I like Ryan. I think he's a good competitor out there. I think Padres have done a great job with their young pitching this year. I think Randy Vasquez has just made jumps, leaps, and bounds. And I'd like to see him get a win here before too long. I'd like Mike Schultz to leave him in rather than for 4 1/3 or 4 2/3. Let that guy find a way to get that final out of the fifth inning to qualify for a victory. All right, Juan, thank you very much, and we'll see where it goes. Who knows? Maybe before first pitch today at 1:10, the Padres will make a deal. I think if they make one, they're going to make two. JB, John, we got to get Alcantara. He's got some years on his contract with Long and Cease potentially leaving. Bring in Sandy. I'm all for that. You know, I had said like a month or so ago that the last thing, and we talk about this all the time because unfortunately we have to talk about a lot of guys that have undergone Tommy John surgery. The velocity comes back, but the control, the command doesn't for a while. That's the last thing to come back. Now, he threw a game last night, and I didn't look at his numbers, but he pitched great. And, he may be going out the door. I know the Dodgers are really looking to bring him in, and the Dodgers have the wherewithal to do that. I think the Yankees are probably looking at him right now. Dodgers have what anybody would want. They got a lot of guys that can play. They got guys at the big league level that they'd probably trade to get Alcantara. And we'll wait and see on that. But I'm all for it. I like him. He likes to take the ball. He wants to be the man, and he wants to shake hands with the catcher at the end of the night. He wants to go deep into ball games. He wants to throw complete games. He's got the mentality, not only the ability, but he's got the mentality of a true ace. And he's still fairly young, and he's coming back and looked like he's getting better and better and better. JB, totally agree with you. Okay, keep them rolling. Big Sam, coach, I'm getting worried the Padres are going to stand pat. Time for AJ to get to work. I know it's partly ownership, but goodness gracious, let's get the ball rolling. Sam, I agree. And I said, a couple of weeks ago, the worst thing the Padres can do is nothing. You either go for it or you're like a defensive back who can't get out of his back pedal. You backpedal and you go and get what you can for all these free agents and recoup, and let's make a run at it in 2026. That's where I'm at right now. I'm not sure. This is AJ. I think this is ownership. For the first time in his history as president of baseball operations, general manager, they may have handcuffed him. And they may say, you know what? You can make trades, but we take on no money. So that's why the comment came out a week ago that AJ was probably going to have to be creative. See, the problem you have here is I don't think ownership wants to spend money. That's number one, and that's where it starts. Number two, your farm system is not deep like it has been in the past, and what you do have, you don't want to trade. And I don't know how many teams would be willing to take Ethan Salas right now, even if you wanted to offer him, because of the back problem. He's been out now almost 3 months, and there's no tell. Probably not going to come back. Maybe during winter ball, but that's the problem you have. And if you take too much away from the big ball club, that could weaken you when you're trying to strengthen yourself. So AJ and the entire staff down there, if they got no money, they got to move money off the books before they can bring anybody in. So we'll wait and see on that. But again, I think this is the first time this ownership, with people, the new people in charge, this is their first opportunity to show the fans, hey man, we're going for it. We're going to do what Peter wanted. We're going for it. Now, if you don't believe in this team, and I don't think this team can win the World Series. I'm not sure they can win a series, but I know I said without any moves, this Padre team could be a playoff team. Okay. And right now they're sitting in pretty good shape and they're playing better. And you never know. It's not who you play, it's when you play them. And it's like the Mets. The Mets came in here and they were firing on all cylinders. They won 7 in a row. They beat up the Giants for 3 games. By the way, the Giants. Oh my God, they're playing their way out of it. What have they lost? Like 11 out of their last 13. They've been brutal. I mean, everybody's wondering what's Buster Posey going to do. It's not just because he was a great catcher and MVP and all this. Now he's in the hot seat. What are they going to do up there in San Francisco? Because I pay attention to San Francisco quite a bit. And man, they're talk show hosts, they're on all over the Giants right now. And they should be. They dropped 11 to 13. They're better than that. Okay, Sam, we'll see. But again, they're going to have to bring out the key to take off the handcuffs on AJ Preller. Ownership got to give him a little money, little bit. What is it? Hey, coach, when umps aren't performing well and clearly making inconsistent calls, do they get benched? If not, should they? Boy, the home plate umpire, and I don't have his name from the other night. He was bad. He was really bad. I was texting with someone at the ballpark. I don't know. It's probably 4 or 5 pitches before Soto got called out. And then Carlos Mendoza came out and got ejected. And I said to this person, I go, man, this guy behind the plate's having a rough night. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. No, I think that they, contrary to what people think, I would not want to be an umpire. I liked umpiring. I umpired a lot when I was a junior college coach. I'd umpire during the summer. I loved umpiring. Bill Deegan, who just passed away, was an American League umpire. He actually asked me if I wanted to go to umpiring school. Loved umpiring. My dad umpired for 13 years around San Diego. But with that being said, from what I know, talking to major league umpires and former major league umpires, these guys, they get put through the grill pretty good behind the scenes. And they're evaluated on every friggin' pitch. Every friggin' pitch. In every situation, after every game, they get a written report. And man, they're under a lot of scrutiny. And I think, to be honest with you, probably too much scrutiny. Guys aren't out there trying to be bad. And you need to be evaluated. You need to continue to grow and get better. And umpiring, they always say, umpiring or as an official, from the first day, you're supposed to be perfect and every day improve. After that, improve. And there's some really good umpires, but I'll tell you, these guys are throwing 100 miles an hour. And, you got different size batters, different stance, catchers down on one knee. I mean, they've got a lot to navigate. It's not that easy. And, when I was coaching, I didn't get on umpires a whole lot for ball strikes. Okay? Especially the in and the out. Up and down, a little bit easier to read, I think. But in and out, the ball's going to be off the plate a little bit. I was okay with that. Away, inside, I don't want it to be called inside because it's unfair to the right-hand hitters. If that ball's a little bit off the corner on the outside, I'm okay with that. If it's close enough to call, it's probably close enough to swing and try to foul it off or put it in play. But that ball inside the hitter is unfair if it's a ball width or ball and a half width inside because they get jammed. You got to call that a ball. But no, these umpires are under a lot more scrutiny than we'll ever know. But the guy behind the plate the other night, man, he had a bad night. He had to be happy to get the hell out of there and get back to his hotel room and get to bed. Man, rough night to say the least. All right, good question on that. What else we got here? David, feels like every time Arise comes up, he's going to get a hit. Hope we can keep him. I was talking to a gentleman the other day about Luis Arise, and I said, I hope they can keep him. I hope they don't trade him. And this person who's very close to the ball club said, and he's been around the ball club for many years, he said, Luis Arise is my favorite Padre all time. That's an amazing statement. That's an amazing statement. Not the best player, but the best guy. That's an amazing statement. And I agree with you, David. Luis Arise, and I'm a big fan. because he shows up every day to the ballpark, a smile on his face, the bounce. He's got some swag. He's got youthful enthusiasm the way he plays the game. I mean, even when he fouls off a pitch, he'll step across the plate and he'll come back. He just got some showmanship. You know, it's like my favorite player, one of my favorite players of all time, I talked about on Monday, Dave Parker. Parker had a lot of swag, okay, and showmanship, but not the swag and showmanship that shows up the other team. Rise has got a lot of showmanship, but he doesn't show up the other team. There's other guys that jump around and parade around, but Rise, man, he's got some flair to his game. And I'll tell you what, this guy has worked his tail off down at first base. And how about some of those plays he's made recently, those 3-6-3 double plays? I mean, those are fantastic. I mean, he's not a gold glove first baseman, but man, he's more than adequate now. He's made himself more than adequate. Now, the question the Padres have to answer is a couple of things. Number one, how much do they value Luis Arraez and everything he brings to the table? Not just his batting average or the way he goes about his business, but, you know, the lack of power at a power position. He's making $14 million this year. Do they want to pay him $14 million going forward, or are they going to have to pay him $20? Is there somebody out there that will give him $20 million a year? I don't think so. Not to play first base. And I don't know if he's going to be able to go back to play second base. But $14 million, not bad. But, and the other thing about it, right, he's been with three teams in a relatively short period of time. They were Minnesota, Miami, and San Diego. And I would imagine he loves San Diego. So it'll be interesting. I hope they keep him. I would be bitterly disappointed if they traded him, which I don't think will happen. I think there are other guys that are looking to move rather than to rise. And hopefully the Padres are at least trying to get some kind of gauge from his agent and from Luis about what it would take to keep him here. And if the Padres can't match that, then he has no recourse other than to go out into free agency. If they said, hey, we can't pay you more than 14 or 15 million on a 3-year contract, then you know what? Maybe he goes out there and takes his chances. Or maybe the Padres give him a qualifying offer. See what happens on that, and you get him for at least one more year. We'll see what happens on that. But, David, I'm a big Luis Arraez fan. I was very excited when they traded for him. I watch they had some hitting tapes of him before he came to the Padres, and you can probably find him on X. That's where I originally saw him, just on some of the stuff he does workout-wise. Man, he's a hard-working dude. Really, really big fan of his. But, David, thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. Eric from Poway. Coach, honest opinion, should the Padres start bunting more in 2025? I feel like the analytics are ruining the art of the bunt. I think the Padres have bunted more than any team in baseball this year. In fact, last night it kind of came back to haunt them. You knew Bryce Johnson was going to bunt on that safety squeeze, and Sean Manaea made a great play. He gloved it, threw it from his glove to the plate, and tagged the runner out coming in. I think the Padres have utilized the bunt very well. And you know what? The bunt is not defensible if you make it a good bunt. Now, if you make it a crappy bunt, it could turn into a double play. You know, pop it up and get the runner off base, or you bunt it too hard, you get the force and still able to get the guy that originally bunted the ball. I think the Padres have bunted exceptionally well. I think with the latter part of their lineup, they've utilized it very well. The one thing I didn't understand was the other night in the eighth inning, I think it was the eighth inning, there were a couple of runners on, and Fernando came up with 2 outs and tried to bunt. Why the hell is Fernando trying to bunt? Now, that wasn't Mike Schultz. That's Fernando. What are you thinking in that spot? I mean, do some damage. Drive in a couple of stakes. That was weird. No idea, man. You got to have a feel for the game. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Even if he bunts, great. The runner might not even be able to score from third. So, I mean, drive the ball into the gap. Let's see you run. Hit a double, hit a triple. But, Eric, I think they've utilized the bunt very, very well. And, again, I think they have more sacrifice bunts and sacrifice hits this year than any team in all of baseball, from last I heard. So, thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate that. Okay, we got to get to the National League standings. How about that? All right, the New York Mets struggling here in San Diego. Final game today. Look, they've won 7 out of their last 10. 2 of those 3 losses have been to our Padres. Hopefully the Padres can get them again today. And again, remember the Padres got an off day on Thursday. They've been playing for a while. They've been playing ever since they got underway a week ago Friday, last Friday. So they've been playing straight through with the road trip and 3 games against the Mets. So they've played 13 days in a row. So they're going to get an off day on Thursday, trading deadline. And then the St. Louis Cardinals come in. Cardinals, man, they're just not very good. But anyways, the Mets only a half game up on Philadelphia right now. Look at the Miami Marlins. Not that they're a playoff contender, but you know what? They're a little bit better than people give them credit for, sitting at 51 and 55. Braves are done. Padres could get Marcell Ozuna because the Braves may give him away. He's going to be a free agent. He's not had a good year. He's had a hip problem. Not going to play a whole lot the rest of the year with the Braves, except when needed. So they're going to probably give him away. Don't be surprised if he's in the Padre lineup on Friday night. I'm going to tell you right now. Jonathan, mark that. Okay, because Marcell Ozuna, if he's in the Padre lineup Friday night, you heard it here first. Okay, and we'll make sure to pat ourselves on the back if that ends up happening. And who knows, the Braves may even pay to have him go away. AJ may be able to get him for next to nothing, like he got a rise a year ago from Miami in the NL Central. This is a great race. Milwaukee and the Cubs are both damn good teams. And, man, you talk about catching lightning in a bottle, that first baseman for the Brewers, Andrew Vaughn, he drove in 6 more runs last night. Guy was like playing AAA, and all of a sudden they bring him up, and he's gone crazy. And the Cubs are right in there. Cubs are looking for more pitching. Dodgers, 4-game lead. Dodgers now 18 games over 500, playing a little bit better. Padres hanging in there, 106 of their last 10. I mentioned the Giants. They've dropped 8 of the 10, but they've dropped 11 of 13. Arizona, look at Arizona. Stick a fork in them. 51 and 57, 12 games back, 8 games back in the wild card. And then you got the Rockies, 28 and 79. Okay, let's take a look at the wild card here in the National League, because the Padres are definitely getting some separation now. You got the Cubs and the Phillies. Those guys are going to be in the playoffs. Padres right now, 3-game lead over Cincinnati. Again, Cincinnati playing tonight, going against Ohtani and the Dodgers. Cardinals 4.5 back. San Francisco 5 back. I think San Francisco right now is on life support. I think there's going to be a lot of bitching, moaning, complaining up there the remainder of the year. I know the Padres playing before too long. Padres got to take care of business, but look at the Giants. They're 54 and 54 right now. They've played themselves back to the 500 mark. And the Cardinals, even though the Padres split with them in St. Louis, I don't think the Cardinals are very good at all. That franchise, you could tell that franchise, the fans aren't buying into it. Do you see how many empty seats at Busch Stadium in the 4 games the Padres played? I've never seen that many. Watching games on TV, I've never, ever seen when the Padres have gone to Busch Stadium to have that many empty seats. And it was pretty bad. Okay. Before we get to the mailbag from last time, I've got to get some information out on the Aztecs. Aztecs started football practice this morning at 9 o'clock. Sean Lewis, second year, last year 3-9, overall 2-9 in the Mountain West Conference. They will go into their game on August 28th against Stony Brook. It's a Thursday night, time not decided yet, with a 6-game losing streak. You know, I'm looking at their non-conference schedule. They got Stony Brook. Then September 6th, they're at Washington State. That'll be tough. September 20th, they're home to the California Golden Bears. That'll be tough. And then they got to go on the road to September 27th in Northern Illinois. So a pretty tough, other than Stony Brook, pretty tough non-conference schedule for the Aztecs this year. And then they open up Mountain West Conference play at home October 3rd against Colorado State. And the Aztecs were picked by everybody in the Mountain West Conference to finish 8th. Boise State, the 2-time defending Mountain West Conference champion, for the 15th straight year, they were voted to be the champion in the Mountain West Conference. So we want to wish Sean Lewis and the Aztecs all the best. I'm looking forward to going to that game on the 28th against Stony Brook. I don't know if it's going to be a 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7:30 start. I think they're trying to find a TV network to pick that game up. But we'll wait and see how it goes for the Aztecs. Okay, let's take a look at our coach's mailbag from the last program. All right, Street commented, I prefer a complete sale and replenish the farm instead of adding with depleted farm and financially capped with mediocre team that is not going anywhere. Street, I'm not going to disagree with you at all because probably 2 weeks ago, uh, I was more into, selling these guys, kind of being like probably what Arizona is going to turn out to be, even though the Padres were kind of hovering around 3 or 4 games above 500. Now they played a little bit better. They're going to have a winning month of July. They had a great March, 5-0. They had an outstanding April, going 14-11. But each of the last couple of months had been a 500 ball club. Now they've pushed their number over 500 over the last 3 months by a game or two. I don't know if the ownership doesn't want to take on money, then you may want to do what you're saying. But I think that'd be a hard sell to the fan base right now. You got a lot of people that have spent thousands and thousands of dollars, and this team now is 10 games over 500. I think that'd be sending an awful message. Number one, to the ball club, and number two, I think it'd be sending an awful message to the fan base. Now the players are gonna, they don't want to see any of their guys go out of the clubhouse. They'll welcome guys in when they come in, but it's tough to lose a teammate, especially during the season. If a guy doesn't come back because he left for free agent, that's one thing. But you're sitting there talking about your wife and kids with a guy the day before. The next day, the guy is sitting next to you packing, and he's heading for Milwaukee. That's tough to swallow, and I know it's the business and all that, but you know what? These guys have feelings. They've got families. Their wives are on pins and needles right now. Padres are kind of in a tough situation. It doesn't look like they want to spend money. They don't have a farm system, and they're just good enough to tease you. Is the way I would look at it. I think anything could happen. I think anything could happen. I just know this: if they trade a guy like Cease, they've got to get something decent in return and not just a rental for this year. They've got to get a major league ready player, a guy that can be one of your outfielders next year if Gavin Sheets were to come back, or a guy that could play second base if you trade Cronenworth. You've got to get somebody that you can control for a few years at an affordable price. It'll be very interesting, but they've got to continue to replenish the farm system. And I will tell you this, and I know a lot of these guys just signed their contracts. Some of these guys that they drafted, I did kind of a deep dive on them. They drafted some talented guys, but again, these guys are years away from getting to the big leagues. They're years away from getting to the big leagues. But very good question there. We'll see what they do. It's going to be very fun to watch between now and 3 o'clock on Thursday. All right, what else we got? We got a couple more here. User, what is the injury done to Salah's stock? Put him on hold more than anything else. And, it's kind of like Michael King. What has the injury done to him? Well, until he gets back on a major league mound, there's a question mark. Right now, everything's trending right. That nerve is, firing the way it's supposed to. He feels great. Now you go out there and you crank it up and you get through a rehab start. Hopefully, if it's a good, solid rehab start, next start will be in the big leagues for the Padres on this next road trip. And whether it's in Arizona or when they come back home, I think they just go to Arizona for 3 games and they're back home, if I'm not mistaken. I know they got Boston coming in here pretty soon because my son-in-law and one of my grandsons are going to a ball game. But I think it's on hold right now until he can come back and show he can play, and not just play, but play regularly. Not, when you first come back, probably play a day, sit a day, play a day, and you got to work him up to playing 2-3 days in a row. And they've been very careful with him all along. But I think until he gets back out there and plays consistently, you got to be a little concerned. I mean, let's face it, we know how backs can be. Let's put it that way. Okay, what else we got today here? I guess that's it. That's it. we're going to get out of here. Now, I can't begin to tell you how excited I am right now until 3 o'clock tomorrow. And I'm going to be really, really excited on Friday morning at 9 a.m. You don't want to miss the show on Friday morning. We're going to have so much to discuss. Hopefully, we're discussing the Padres sweeping the Mets, the Cardinals coming to town. Hopefully, the Padres have got at least a 4-game lead in the wild card. So Friday, you don't want to miss Friday. And tell a friend. Again, please subscribe if you haven't. It doesn't cost a dime. We appreciate the supers we get from you fans out there. That's very much appreciated. And again, we're on YouTube, Facebook, X. You can follow me on Facebook at John Kentera and on X at Coach Kentera 44. Coach Kentera 44 on X. Go ahead and get that all dialed up today and look forward to chatting with you on that from time to time. And I'd like to thank Jonathan Oliveri, who will be doing some Aztec reporting for me on the program. He'll be our Aztec correspondent this year. He's out there talking to Sean Lewis and Trey White and the whole gang. So we'll have Jonathan be giving us regular updates on Aztec football on the John Kentera Show, San Diego Sports Talk. Until Friday morning, to AJ Preller, happy hunting, and we'll talk about it all on Friday morning at 9 a.m. on the John Kentera Show right here on YouTube. Bye-bye.